What today's topic is going to be, it's going to be an open forum, okay? I'm going to give you a couple tidbits to kind of get you started, and then you can start asking me questions on what you're looking to do, and maybe some sticking points that you're hitting. You know, if you're hitting a sticking point, I'd be happy to walk you through what it'll take to get you from where you are to where you're wanting to go, okay? What we invite people to do is do the business that is going to be the highest probability. It might not be the easiest in the beginning, but as you're learning, it gets easier. And then what it winds up happening, you wind up getting a cumulative effect, right? Like you start taking one listing, and next thing you know, you're getting other opportunities that come from it, other listings, other buyers, and so forth, right? Because you focus your efforts on taking listings instead of working with buyers. Think of like you could go to the bunny hill, and like working with buyers and working with leasing, you'll get a little ride out of it, right? You'll go up to the hill, and then you'll get a little ride down the bunny hill. And it's a short little hill, and it's about 30 seconds up and about 10 seconds down, okay? Or you can look at taking commercial listings as, it's like going all the way to the top of the mountain, right? And it's a bit more work to get up there. In fact, 70% of the work in listings is done on the front end. So a lot of people don't have the stamina, don't have the belief in themselves that they can do it, oftentimes because they don't quite have the skills just yet. However, once you get that skill and you get it figured out, once you get to the top of the mountain, it's like taking the gondola all the way to the top. You pick up buyer leads, you pick up other listings, you create a name for yourself. There's so many other effects that occur as a result of you doing the hard work and taking the listings, right? So this year, your best year, you want to knock it out of the park. The way to do that is to take listings, folks, okay? Now I'm going to give you a little bit of tidbit, okay? And this one is worth the price of admission today. If you are still doing administrative work, the old saying goes, if you don't have an admin, you are one. And there's nothing wrong with doing administrative work, but how many of you want to make more than $100, $120, $150,000 a year? How many of you want to make $200, $300, $400,000 a year? Guys, it starts with a belief in yourself, okay? Now here's the only problem, okay? Think about this logically, folks. Do you think it makes any sense that for you to be doing $10 or $20 or $30 an hour work? Because if you really think about it, if you want to make $300,000 this year, just as a good example, most humans work 40 hours a week, 50 weeks of the year. I know in real estate, we work a lot more, but just do some good math, right? What happens is if you work 2,000 hours, you take $300,000, you divide it by 2,000 hours. Guess what happens, folks, right? You cannot do work that's worth less than $150 per hour. 2,000 times 150 equals 300,000, right? The reason being is your time as a high-level skill set of getting commercial listings is worth at least $150 an hour. So does it make any sense why you should be doing $20 an hour, $30 an hour work? Doesn't work. It's like you don't see the CEO mopping the floors. Why? Because the CEO's time is worth so much more than mopping the floors. You can pay someone less than the CEO is worth, okay? So you guys are the CEOs of your business, okay? So what you have to understand is, number one, you can't be doing work that's worth less than your hourly rate. The question I get all the time is like, what do I need to do in order to make the most amount of money in this business possible? I said, it's very, very easy. Number one, delegate everything that's worth less than your hourly rate. And number two, you have to be doing 3 key activities as much as you possibly can all day. The people that earn the most amount of money are doing this stuff 50+% of the day or more. And that is PPF. A lot of people know what they need to do, but they're not necessarily doing it, right? We have the knowledge. So what I say is we have the information, but we haven't yet mastered the implementation. Okay, you need to understand, you need to be doing prospecting, presenting, and following up. That's step one. I would say at least 4 hours of the day. If you can do it more than 4 hours a day, God bless you. Okay. And the other thing is you cannot possibly earn the money that you want if you are not taking and delegating the things that are worth less than your hourly rate. And we just discussed hourly rate. Whatever you want to make this year, divide it by 2,000, and that's your hourly rate. If it's $100 an hour, then any $20 an hour work, find someone. Guys, utilize the global economy. The Philippines has a ton of really high quality VAs for like $6 an hour. Okay. And you can get really, really good quality people that are conscientious. They speak, no communication issues. They speak great English, and you can have them offload certain parts of your business that it doesn't even pay. How many of you would like to buy 2 hours of your day back for $12, 3 hours of your day back? So it's 3 hours less admin work you can do for $18, right? For a little more than what it costs for Starbucks and a sandwich at Subway, you can buy back 3 hours of your day. When it comes to, let's talk about reaching out to people, okay? Digital tools, I highly recommend using a CRM. Your brain cannot keep track of all the details, number one, okay? So, and oftentimes when it comes to, if you want to, the more hands you shake, the more money you make. I'm sure you guys have all heard that saying before. It's been around for a very long time. So one thing to consider, Stan, get yourself a good CRM. What's the best CRM? The best CRM is the one that you use on a daily basis. The one that after every call, you log in the information, after every appointment, you log in the details, because that is going to be your brain. You are not going to remember 12 months from now, after you've done hundreds of listing presentations, what Mr. Jones said at 123 Main Street that one afternoon. The person that is most diligent with their CRM, they're going to remember when they call Mr. Jones back, yeah, Mr. Jones wanted to see if now's an appropriate time. I'd really like to help you get that property sold, right? Little details like that are how you leverage digital tools in order to help your prospecting, presenting, and following up. My answer to that is going to be, what you need to do is a couple of things, okay? When you're a listing agent, what you always want to do is frame however you are trying to influence the buyer's agent, okay? Or if you're working with a buyer, you always want to frame it in what's in their best interest, okay? So for instance, if I'm a listing agent, I'm going to say to the buyer's agent, they say, hey, I got this person, they really want to buy the building, yada, yada, yada. I say, okay, great, awesome, okay? But Tom, can I give you a little bit of advice, Tom? Yeah, I've dealt with this seller before, and we had a couple offers come in that weren't quite to his liking. So I have a little insight in terms of what it'll help. You want to put your best foot forward and get the best chance of you guys getting a hold of this building and putting it under contract? Yeah. Okay, great. So what you say is, okay, well, think about it, folks. Think big picture. What's the best kind of buyer? Ready, willing, and able. Okay, by virtue of the fact that they're ready to sign a contract, the first thing you tell them is forget an LOI. We want you to put it right on a contract, because that way, if the seller is on board, all you need to do is make sure that they initial and they sign, and boom, we're under contract, right? So that takes care of the willing part. Okay, the ready part is, okay, do they have all their ducks in a row? Now, if they're using cash, okay, what you can do is, if they're a cash buyer, what you can do is you can say, hey, listen, I understand that your buyer's buying with cash, no problem. But the best way for us to present your offer in the best light possible, because we're getting a lot of attention, okay, is for us to get a letter from the bank from that your buyer utilizes that says that they have the capacity in their account to take down a transaction of whatever, 1.8 million, right? Okay. If you're dealing with someone who's financing, there's two aspects to financing. Number one, you need a letter from a lender, right? Oftentimes, the lender will, so in commercial, it's a bit different from residential. Residential, oftentimes lenders are like lending on the individual, right? So like Scott and Tammy Jones can buy, based on their income, can buy a house that's worth $400,000 or whatever, right? Whereas oftentimes it'll matter whether or not the property. So like whether the property has to pass the sniff test, whether it's a good investment or not. So it can be a little bit tricky on the commercial side, but my point is, what you want to do is you want to be able to have everybody So you want to have them vetted. So you want to, if they're going to utilize financing, have a letter saying that they've already been pre-approved by the bank, maybe for X amount of money, or maybe they've already gone through the process, and all they need to do is the bank needs to vet the deal, whether it passes their the debt service coverage ratio, something along those lines. And then for the portion of it's always important to ask, how much are they putting down? If they're putting 25% down on a $2 million property, guess what? They need to be able to show that they have $500,000 liquid in their account ready to go. So you get a proof of funds letter for the portion that they are bringing to the table. And then also some sort of, even if it's a pre-commitment letter, but some sort of letter that they've spoken to a bank, they have an officer and so forth. What you don't want is for them to put the property under contract and then they go out looking for lending relationships. You don't want that to happen. How commercial differs from residential. In residential, every person that walks down the street needs a roof over their head, right? Makes sense. Okay. So every single person that you see at the gas station, at the PTA, at church, in the grocery store, whatever, is a potential buyer, right? Or a potential prospect. Now, the thing you need to understand is social, if you think about it, I have, let's say, LinkedIn, I have 10,000 people that follow me, right? That's a one-to-many approach, okay? For commercial, okay, especially if you're on the listing side of the business, you do not have a one-to-many. One-to-many approaches are not nearly as effective as they are on the residential side. Does that make sense? Because if you think about it, you announcing that you're a residential agent and you have 1,000 people on your Facebook, awesome. You have 1,000 potential prospects. That worked for that side of the coin. On the commercial side, we have to be a little bit more defined, and we have to go after the individuals. So social doesn't work. I should say that aspect of social doesn't work for commercial nearly with the same amount of effectiveness that it does. Now, here's the thing: if you had 1,000 people and they were all building owners, then yeah, you got a better chance. So if you want to go and research 1,000 people in your area and then find them all on Facebook and friend them all, then you would have a bit more effective, but that's typically not the situation. So what I would probably recommend is there's better ways of going about spending your time. But you can absolutely leverage technology and leverage apps and platforms in order to get a lot more results. Everybody knows an exclusive listing is the best way to go, right? Okay, makes sense? Now, the next best thing is what I call the wink wink listing. And as far as I think I invented it, right? I was trying to figure out a way, because you're going to get this all the time. Yeah, go out and find a buyer and I'll pay you a commission. Yeah, I'll do this. Yeah, that. Fine, okay? So what I came up with was, okay, what's the next best thing to an exclusive listing? A non-exclusive listing. But, then an open listing is like, well, then you're hustling with 5 other brokers that they're talking to. They're not really dancing with you. But think of it this way, guys. Let's reverse engineer this. If you were to take a listing and you really think, so what I do is I reverse engineer where all my sales came from. And I said to myself, 90% of the buyers for my listings come from LoopNet, CoStar, my email list, Prexy, and about 10% come from the MLS, but 90% come from those 4 platforms. So what I did was I devised a solution where everybody benefits, okay? You're not going to get an exclusive listing, but I call it the wink wink exclusive listing. And here's what I mean. It's 90% as effective as an exclusive listing. So if you think about it, if knowing that 90% of buyers are going to come from 4 platforms, right? LoopNet, CoStar, your email list, as well as Prexy, okay? If they're going to come from those 4 places, doesn't it make sense that if you were to be given the right to advertise non-exclusively in those 4 platforms, does it stand to reason that you're going to have a 90% chance of being the one to find the buyer? So with a wink link listing, what you do is you create a commission agreement, okay? Very, very simple, very, very straightforward. And what the commission agreement says is that, okay, Mr. Jones LLC and Dark Horse Commercial agree that if Dark Horse Commercial finds a buyer for this property, Mr. Jones LLC will pay Dark Horse Commercial 6 points on based on a $2.2 million sale price. Okay, and so the way you pitch it to Mr. Jones is, Mr. Jones, I really want to get your property out there, right? But I need to be able to utilize, the tools that I have, and in order for me to get the highest price possible for your property, I need to get in front of the widest audience possible. Now, I trust you. We got a good relationship. I don't think we would ever have any issue with commission. But in order for me to get the highest paying buyer, it will help me put it in front of the thousands of agents that are already active in the market. So, but when they come and they bring a buyer, they want to know that they're guaranteed a commission, right? So what you wind up saying, you say, listen, Mr. Jones, I need you to sign this commission agreement. It's not a listing agreement. All it is, you mentioned that you would pay a 6% fee if I got you 2.2 million. Yeah. Okay, fine. So all I need you to do is sign this commission agreement saying that you'll pay a 6% fee, just like we talked about. Okay. And then at the bottom, you just give me the right to advertise it online. So that way I can leverage the tools that I have. And you leave it very, very vague. It's your company and whatever Jones LLC, and then you give them a certain percentage at a certain price, right? It's just a straight up commission agreement. And when there's a point at the bottom under the comments, and in the comments, what winds up happening is you just put a seller gives a broker right to advertise online. That's it, and you just leave it like that. Guys, this is beautiful. This is 90% as good as an exclusive listing, because what it does, if you think about it, what does an exclusive listing do at the heart of it? It blocks all the other brokers out, so you don't have to compete with them. This is the next best thing, because it's going to knock 90% of the brokers. Because if you have it on LoopNet and you have it on CoStar and you have it on your email list and you have it on Crexi, guess what? You are in essence controlling the market. Okay. One of my students, Abby Stancato is his name. He's in my veteran training program. I taught him this about 3 weeks ago. He picked up $2 million worth of listings in the last 2.5 weeks. Since I taught it to him, he went out and got 2 listings back to back using this. Whenever you're doing any leasing assignments, what I would recommend, a couple of things. With leasing, what you do is you have to like reverse engineer what happened. Who would be the highest and best user, right? I purchased years ago. I didn't purchase it. No. In fact, it was one of the brokers that I worked for years ago. I had like a national list of retailers, right? And basically, if you're like, who would work real well here? Sherwin-Williams Paint Store or something along those lines, right? So the best way I would say, Linda, to find to try to pre-lease a retail place, but they overlook the amount of people that are using like the general stuff, the LoopNet, the CoStar, the Crexi, the MLS. That's number one. But number two, if you really want to dig deep on it, I would start identifying who would be the best retailers, like in terms of a tenant mix. And then I would work backwards from there, and I would start going after national retailers. What I would say is, though, that approach, that's a lot of legwork. If I were you, I would put it on the major platforms. I would put a huge sign out front, as big as you can afford, and let the market do its work. Frankly, Linda, if you were going to spend 20 hours calling on retailers versus 20 hours calling on sellers, I'd rather have you call on 20 hours on sellers. You're much more likely to get an exclusive listing and put big bucks in your pocket. You know what I mean? So not to say that some of these national retailers can't be big bucks, but it's a lot harder, because what you're trying to find, you're trying to thread a needle from on a hunch, and maybe they're not looking to go to your market or maybe this particular retailer. So, but I would definitely push it as much as you can. Put it on all the major platforms, because the companies that are looking to go to your area, they're going to be looking on LoopNet, CoStar, Crexi, so forth. Awesome. Okay. All right, guys. So we're just about ready to wrap it up. I just want to remind everybody, okay? Thank you guys for coming, and thank you for participating, right? As I say every week, if you don't take something you learned and implement it, your time here is wasted. So everybody, do me one favor, okay? And in the chat right now, go ahead and write down one thing that you're going to take and you're going to implement in the next 7 days. By the time I see you guys next, tell me what are you going to implement, so that I know you guys are getting this stuff and you're getting it rocking and rolling. Okay, you're gonna take it, you're gonna implement it, and you're gonna implement it into your business, so your business can get up and go into speed. Right.